Hi everyone, I'm Amanda. So first off, I just hope everyone's staying safe. I know right now it's a pretty uncertain time. We've been maintaining our sanity by cooking a lot, baking a lot, drinking a little bit more than usual. So we're putting on a little bit of weight, but that's okay. We're staying safe and that's the number one priority. So today I want to share a recipe for one of my favorite dishes and something that I think you'll all be able to make because it has a lot of items that you might have laying around in your pantry or in your fridge. So I think this will be a good one to get us started. And you'll notice, so this recipe is actually already posted up on the blog, but you'll notice there's a few changes today just based on what I had on hand. So we're gonna be making something called Parippu curry or Sri Lankan style dal curry. So a lot of people haven't had Sri Lankan cuisine, but you're probably really familiar with Indian food or Indian cuisine. So a lot of the spices are pretty similar, but the tastes are actually quite different. So for example, I don't really like Indian style dal that much, but I love Sri Lankan style dal. So if you like Indian style dal, totally fine. This is just a different iteration. If you don't let that steer you away from this recipe because it might be a little bit different than you expect. So I'm gonna walk you through just some of the ingredients that we have today, and then we'll go ahead and get started. I might not be incredibly specific about measurements, again, since it's all up on the blog. So most important things, we've got our coconut milk. It started off with 2 cups of dried lentils, and then I kind of washed and drained them. So I just used the masoor dal. It's just basically like red split lentils. You can get that at any grocery store. You don't need to go to a specialty Indian grocer for that. So we have our lentils. I have thinly sliced onion, just 1 large onion. Normally I make this recipe with a Thai chili. I didn't have that, so instead I just sliced up a jalapeno. A jalapeno is not as spicy as a Thai chili, so you'll see there's a few tweaks we're gonna make to try to up the spice so that we don't lose out on that little kick. We have our turmeric powder. As you can see, a mess. This is what gives it its nice yellow color. I'm gonna be using 2 different types of curry powder today. One that has a little bit more chili in it, and that's going to make up or compensate for the jalapeno's lack of spice. And then I have some dried red chilies, just whole red chilies. I think my recipe online calls for 3, but I'm gonna use 4 again to try to give it a little bit more heat because of the jalapeno. We've got some cinnamon sticks, and then I didn't have any fresh curry leaves. This is something that I think you can only really find in an Indian grocer. So I'm substituting in a 1-to-1 ratio with bay leaves. It's not quite the same. Curry leaves really just give an added dimension and depth of flavor, but this will do in a pinch. And then we've got some lemon. I don't have lemongrass. I normally use that, so I'm just gonna zest a lemon, use some lemon juice. And today I just figured I wanted to throw in a little bit of ginger, so I have a little bit of cut up ginger here. All right, so those are our ingredients. We can go ahead and get started. I just have this over medium heat right now. I'm putting a little bit of ghee in the bottom. This is just gonna help prevent the lentils from sticking. I almost always have that problem, so I've learned a few tricks, and I also try to keep the heat low after we bring it to a boil. So let's put a little bit of ghee down there to help prevent sticking. And you don't really have to wait for this to get too hot. Again, the pan's already been preheating for a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the lentil stew here. You're not gonna hear that like fiery crackling because again, it's not too hot and that's okay. This is really more to prevent sticking as opposed to really cook anything. I'm just gonna put these in. You see it's kind of condensed there because they've been drained and washed, but not super dried. That is quite all right. We'll just get them all in here. Sometimes a trick I use if this happens to you, well, realistically, I never have it measured out like this. I'm doing it more for the sake of the video. I kind of just throw them straight from the strainer into the pot. But if these were sticking really bad, I might pour some coconut milk into this to just help kind of bring them all out without losing too much. All right, that'll do. We're gonna put our 2 cups of coconut milk in here. So you can just go ahead and pour that in. stir it up a little bit just to get those lentils nice and coated. Nice. So now we're gonna add some of our spices. We're gonna do a teaspoon of turmeric powder. This is what's going to give these lentils a really nice yellow flavor, or yellow color, I mean, not flavor. And you'll see that when we get towards the end. And even as I stir it, and you can see it start turning that nice golden color, which is just, I love it. All right, we're also gonna break up these whole red chilies that we have. So again, I'm using 4 today just because we only have jalapenos instead of Thai chilies. So you can truly just break them with your hand since they're already dried up. The seeds will come out, that's great, that's what gives it that heat. Wonderful, can mix that in a little bit. And the last thing that we're gonna add is some curry powder. So normally I add about a teaspoon of curry powder. Again, I'm mixing 2 curry powders today, one that has a little bit more heat. So I'm gonna do like basically about a half teaspoon of each, just by eyeballing. All right. And so this curry powder, it's actually cool. I got this when I was in Sri Lanka, and I don't think these things really expire because it's just nice ground spices. And then this one, my mom actually got it for us for Christmas. She got us this whole line of Indian spices by this Spice House brand that's supposed to be really good. So this is our first time using it, so I'm excited to see how it turns out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and stir these spices in here, just get everything nice and mixed up. And then after it's nice and mixed, we're gonna go ahead and bring this to a boil. So we'll raise the heat. As soon as it reaches a boil, we're gonna reduce the heat and cover it. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn the temperature up to like, not quite the highest, so a medium high, but a little closer to high. And now we'll just wait for it to boil. So our lentils are boiling right now, or they reached a boil, so now I've reduced the heat, I have it covered. You just wanna make sure while it's cooking, even on a low heat, that you stir it frequently, because even with that ghee trick, it's still gonna stick to the bottom. So while that's cooking, I put about a tablespoon of ghee into another saucepan. If you're vegan, you can use olive oil, whatever you want. Now we're gonna go ahead and fry up those onions and the jalapeno. So you can go ahead and put your onions in. Put your peppers in. I wanted a little bit of ginger this time, so I'm just gonna sprinkle that in. This is also where you'll put your cinnamon and your curry leaves. Again, I don't have curry leaves today, so we're going bay leaves. Together. And essentially you just want to fry these up until the onions are a little bit brown, kind of that transparent, a little bit brown color. What I do at that point is I take about half of the onion mixture and dry it off on a paper towel, and then I reserve that to top the curry, and then I put everything else into the lentils itself. In addition to all of these ingredients, if you had lemongrass, this is when you'd also add it. I don't, so I'm improvising, and I'm just gonna do some lemon zest here. It's not quite the same, but again, it's a pandemic. This is an old lemon too. The skin is like not elastic, so I'm struggling a bit, but that's okay. I could use the arm workout. All right, we'll start with that. All right, so these are gonna go ahead and fry up. When they're all set, I'll meet you again, and you can see what they look like when they're draining. So this is about done. I've put about half on this plate. I've gotten rid of a few of the bay leaves. They're I'm used to curry leaves, which normally kind of melt, wither down a little bit. So I got rid of some of the bay leaves, but we're still gonna put the rest of this straight into our lentil mixture. And then we're gonna add the rest of our ingredients. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this right into our lentil mixture. So we'll put this in here, get that all in. Make sure I don't leave any of these jalapenos behind. Give it a good mix. And we won't be eating the bay leaves or the cinnamon sticks. This just helps give it a nice flavor. Mix that all up. We're now gonna add the rest of our coconut milk. So we have another can. Stir that up. And so you may have been noticing we haven't salted anything yet. We've really only been adding our other Indian spices. So this is the point where you would kind of apply as much salt as you want to taste. That. I'll put some salt in. I normally start with just a little bit, and then later on after it finishes cooking I put more in. That's all that I will be doing. And this is also where you add your lemon juice. So I'm just using this little strainer so I don't get any seeds in here. So I think my recipe says juice of half a lemon, something like that. I'll do something similar today. Our house is smelling really nice right now, so I'm into it as I get lemon juice everywhere. So we're gonna go ahead and stir this up. So we've stirred everything in. So now we're just gonna simmer it uncovered. So we'll raise the heat till it reaches a little bit of a simmer. Keep it uncovered until it reaches it thickens up a little bit, but also softens. It's going to be like a porridge-like consistency. So I'll meet you back here when it's at that consistency so you can see what that looks like. It's been about 20 to 25 minutes. I initially brought the temperature up to medium, and then I reduced it to medium-low so that it had that nice simmer, left it uncovered. This is the consistency that you should be looking for. All the lentils should be soft. It's a little bit of a thicker consistency, almost like a porridge. If you prefer it to be even softer, by all means you can cook it for a little bit longer. This is just the consistency that I like the most. So now that it's ready, what I'm doing right now is I have the oven preheating. We're gonna make up a little bit of naan. And you can serve this as a side with other curries. That's the oven preheating, letting us know it's ready. You can serve this as a side with other curries over rice, just plain with naan, whatever you like. Today we're just gonna be having it plain with naan. So I will meet you back in just a moment once we have that in its bowl with our naan and with our onions on top. We've got our naan out of the oven. I've buttered it, of course. So we're gonna go ahead and dig in. Before we do, you can see our beautiful Parippu curry. We've got the onions on top here. All right, so now we can dig in. I'm just gonna take a nice little hunk of naan, dip it right in. Get a generous amount on here. Oh, lost an onion, I would like that. That's good. Do you ever notice on a lot of recipes or cooking shows, they always show the end product and they kind of mix it around and lift a spoon up, but people aren't really eating it? I find that suspicious. Go ahead and make this. It's really quick, it's nice and easy. You probably have everything laying around. And let me know what you think. Thanks.